All right, it is testimony time again. Yes, that's my favorite time in church, besides worship. But we're not in church, and most churches do not have testimony time anymore. So we just gonna make it happen our way. So I have here today Miss Keesha McMillian, author, licensed therapist, cultural activist, and on and on and on. So I wanted to bring her here today to share her testimony on how God is able to make a way out of no way. He is so faithful and to keep the faith. Yeah, how she just kept the faith and believed in her healing, and God did it. Yes, thank you, Keesha.
And all right. Thank you for having me come in and giving me the opportunity to speak about my testimony. So I'm going to go back some years. I won't say how many years, but a few years. I had just ended my college. I had just finished my prerequisite for college, and I was going to be a graduate, and I was in my 20s, and I attended a college, Cheney University, HBCU in Philadelphia, and I'm just going to jump right in there. I was paralyzed. Was stricken with an illness called Guillain-Barré Syndrome. Some people pronounce it Guillain-Barre Syndrome. But the illness is a neurological illness. They don't really know where it comes from, but it is suspected it comes during the flu season. So during my last year, this illness somehow got in my system, um, and it could have been from a flu shot. That's the possibility, but it's very rare. So it paralyzed me from the neck down, which meant that I could not speak, could not breathe on my own. I could not eat. I could not care for myself at all. I was blessed to have a mother and a sister and family who were right there by my side, a very good doctor. But most importantly, I had God and the faith and determination to believe that that was not going to be my end. Um, and God showed up and showed out. And people, he put angels in my presence. There's a doctor. I went to Urine Road Hospital. At this time, they were not even really in our area diagnosing people with Guillain-Barré. So it was very new, and but I was fortunate enough to be placed on a respirator, and a young African American doctor, male doctor, took a special interest in me. And I consider him an angel because at that point, that's exactly what I needed. Just someone to tell me that things would be okay, just to give me a smile and a word of encouragement. And I know that comes from the Lord. So, of course, I had my family doctor. I had to learn how to walk again after spending over 18 days in a respirator and a year in a state of paralysis. I had to walk again, talk again, and how to just function completely.
Yeah.
My mind was still clear, but my body had, in some ways, betrayed me.
Mhm.
But what I learned in this process is that God never fails. We're in a season where COVID 19 is hitting all headlines, and it sounds very similar to Guillain-Barré when you think about the symptoms. And I just want to be an encouragement to those who may be suffering at this time. It does not have to end like it is right now.
Mhm.
we're all making concessions. When I was paralyzed, the one thing that I would do every day is think about something that I couldn't do the day before that I could do the next day. So if I could blink my eyes this day and yesterday I couldn't, that meant that God gave me the mercy and grace to be able to do that. And I just continue steadfastly determined um, to go forward, believing that that is not where God wanted to be, that I still had a purpose, and that if I put my trust, not man, but in the one who created man, that I would be able to withstand that trial.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, when I released the illness over to God, it gave me more power. It gave me an opportunity to truly have that extended relationship with him and watch how he moved in my life and the people around me. So I am encouraging others today. Yes, wear your mask. Yes, do the social distancing. All of those are great precautionary measures that we all want to take. Yes, wash your hands. Wash many times. You can be obsessive right now with the washing the hands and keeping areas sanitized and clean. We're good with that. But don't forget who our source is and who has the ability to chill. Sometimes when we're going through trials, me included, you think this is it. This is over. You have no words for it. And you're angry. You're grieving. And so it's good to be reminded that even through trials, God has the ability to sustain us through them. Not that he's going to wipe them all out at the same time, all the time. Sometimes he's preparing us to just increase our faith,
Yeah.
to decrease our fear, and
Yeah.
walk in faith.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's the only way that we're going. All of us are going to survive what we're going through right now. I don't know when my end is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know my beginning was until I was here. So you know, we gotta trust him, and that's how I got through Guillain-Barré syndrome. Trusting God, doing something different every day, whatever I couldn't do the day before, tried to do it, push myself a little bit more, and be persistent and determined, and talking to God. You know, just like I'm talking to you, Lana, I talk to him.
Right. And so initially, the doctor said that you pretty much would be like that for the rest of your life. But
Right.
God said something different. And it's whose report are you going to believe?
That's
The doctor's report or the report of the Lord? And you chose to believe the report of the Lord. And you got your healing.
exactly.
Yeah. And I like the
Exactly.
way when you did feel down, because you can have faith and still some days, you know,
Mhm.
may be discouraged. And I like that he was able to send a little sign, an angel, as you call it, or that extra doctor to come in to say, remember what I promised you, stand on my word, and I got you. And that just kept you going. I can imagine, wow, I can't even imagine being paralyzed for a year from the neck down as you were. Wow. So the moment you came out of paralysis, what was that like? Oh my goodness. Was it just like boom?
Well, there was an urgency after I came through my paralysis. You know, there's a process. So you have to learn how to crawl, you have to learn how to stand, then you learn how to walk. You know, so the independence, you know, took a process. It
Yeah.
didn't happen overnight. So I went through that for a year. My mom was right there, determined spirit. And you want to surround yourself with those who are feeding into you, planting
Right.
those seeds
Right.
that you can do, it,
Yeah.
to be determined and to encourage you,
Mm-hmm.
empower you to move. And that's what she was, as well as my sister. So I was grateful for that. But when you're in a storm and you need a rainbow
Yeah.
to come and see, we have to look up because the rainbow is there. I was in a storm. So after I got somewhat through the storm, I was even more determined to make a difference in the life of other people. So I did speak to some other people who were discouraged and had the illness of Guillain-Barré. The doctors told me, unfortunately, that they didn't know, just like with COVID, they don't know kind of where it comes from. They didn't know. There were so many unanswered questions that they had at that time. And that makes you kind of crazy because you don't know what you do.
Right.
Or,
Right.
did I do walk way wrong, or could I have done something to prevent the inevitable, which
Right.
occurred? But no, those answers were not given to me. The only answer years later I received was the answer of the flu shot could have possibly caused the Guillain-Barré
Right.
for me and others, but
Oh,
years later.
right.
So what I'm saying to you, Lana, is that sometimes we have to be in a state in silence where there are no answers that we know. And
Raw
somehow we
faith.
have
Just
to
raw faith in God. Yeah.
raw faith. You have to. If there is nothing else that I am sure of, I am sure of my God. That is the one thing that I'll put up against anything else. And if I have to go through whatever it is, I want him with me.
Amen.
I want to be on,
Amen. We got him.
because everybody else doesn't know. He knows. He already knew COVID was going to be here. He already knew I was going to be with Guillain-Barré. But he called me for a bigger purpose.
Amen.
And so after the illness, it has been my mission to fulfill the purpose that he had planted in me under the direction, stewardship of my mother. So I think this work I was created for this work that I do.
It was the storm before the rainbow. And you made it through with the help of God. Won't you do it? Yes.
Oh, well. So everybody encouraged and not to fear. We living sometimes in a state of fear. Switch it up. Change the script. Use faith in God. Use wisdom, but let your faith in God overwhelm your fear.
Amen.
Let your faith in God overwhelm your fear.